I'll say this. Since I started supervising more people, because I've supervised people before. Since I've started supervising more people, I've increasingly become more aware of how I communicate with people. I'm extra careful to not come across needlessly authoritarian because I already present as authoritative. So that's how I'm going to be received. So I don't have to bark. I don't have to do none of that stuff. But I've had to become more mindful. Like even in public, I was dealing with a young man today making a purchase, and I would as we were jesting, which I tend to do with people in public, because I know nobody does that for them. I like to be that in public for people. I had like a whole. I'm gonna be real with you. I had a whole TED talk. It was nuts. But in saying that, in part of our exchange, I was like, I thought I came across the way, so I was like, yo, I apologize if you think I came across this way, because that's not at all what I'm trying to convey. And he's like, no, he's like, you'll find out about it, take it that way. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I just got to be mindful of that. You know what I'm saying? And I think from there, our conversation, because I took that stance with him, our conversation from that point there was such a willingness to exchange. You know what I mean? He was from South America, from Peru. We talked about the social climate down there. Like it was dope. He was 31. Like we were just vibing. But in saying that, I've never been so sure in my entire life that I was chosen to do a thing than right now. I say that in the most humble way possible, knowing the conditioning that God put me through to prepare me for what's in front of me right now. I know the conditioning. I was in the wilderness for 6 months. Many a trial, many a triumph. Dark nights, a lot of mask wearing, a lot of crying in the shower. There's a lot. So now that I'm here and I've been through, when I talk to my staff, like, and it's never preachy. I'm mindful, but they can tell that I talk because of how I talk. And I always explain to them that I am a speaker. I do small group facilitation, large group facilitation, all that. Like I've spoken in prisons, juvenile prisons. I spoke there too. So prisons, plural, 3 actually. Man, I'll be underselling myself. I got stats. I really got stats. I'll be sleeping on me for real. But the crazy thing is, because of how I present, people don't believe that. People think I'm arrogant. I want to repeat one more time. Arrogant does not give back. It only takes. Confidence gives and expects nothing in return but the confidence of the individual they're trying to increase. Blocker. I want to start here. Colorism in hip hop needs to die. Oh, that's good stuff. I'll say it once again. Let me be mindful. Let me get myself set up. I thought I was, but I'm not. Am I now? Oh, let's wait. And I don't think it's different. We'll do this. I don't know if that did anything either. Hold on. I don't even care. For real. Oh, I'm not backed up. All this is live, but I'm not tripping. Done. Anyway, I'll say it once again. Colorism in hip hop needs to die. Hip hop at its origin began urban. I'm going to say that one more time. Hip hop at its origin began urban. It didn't begin black. The people in the area just happened to be black and brown. I think a lot of people like to forget about the and brown. And the reason that I'm saying this is because colorism being used as an angle in an exchange of lyrical warfare, that's trash. Because that ain't got nothing to do with hip hop. Kendrick, you should kind of be ashamed of yourself. I know you don't care what Pen Game Wayne Steven got to say. Shout out to him. That's me. For you being the lyricist that you are, you could have not even added that element into what you were saying because you had a lot of solid points. You had a lot of solid points. But then, like, leave that to guys like Ross. He's another one. He's a bozo for that. He's a bozo. I know, and nobody cares what I got to say about it. But for real, the way that I was raised in my flesh, I can't be a sucker. I cannot. I can't be intentionally immoral for my own gain. I don't even know how to do that. And the crazy thing is, if I ever tried to get into that space, God would quickly break a leg or something. I would definitely get Jacobed in that moment because I've been Jacob before. You can't tell me about how I carry my faith, and you can't tell me about my relationship with Christ. You can't. So just take that. Anyway, yeah. Colorism needs to die. It's not even a... Colorism isn't even something people can get behind. Like, it's like, oh, mixed niggas rapping? That's crazy. What? Shut up. What are you talking about? Everybody was cool when it was cool. Now we not cool. Now I'm white boy. And the sad thing is, there's been, and you could go back and look, there's been too many instances in which I've taken Drake's side. So it may seem like I'm caping for Drake. I'm not. It's not caping. What I'm doing is taking hip hop at its origin, which began urban, black and brown, but began urban, and whoever happened to live in that urban area experienced hip hop too. Guess what? That includes urban whites. Because you can't tell me, hey, white people who grew up in the Bronx before the white flight didn't experience hip hop at its inception. Shame on you for trying to take it away from them. They didn't do nothing. Now, if your argument against Eminem is whatever, I mean, whatever, say what you say. But how can you add colorism to hip hop when at its origin, it began urban, and the people in that urban area who happen to be black, brown, and white, you want to exclude them because now the niggas run the... Are you serious? Hip hop right now is in its position because the niggas is running everything. Nothing good comes from any one people trying to do our thing forward. You always need people to go through different channels. The single-mindedness of my people sometimes really agitates me. It really agitates me. Because then they look at me like, oh, look at, man, shut up. 1, I can fight. 2, I can rap. 3, I can rap. 4, I can fight. Stop talking to me. Like, I get so sick of defending that point too. Granted, J. Cole made a mistake that guys who have skills often do. I remember, this is how I know I'm getting older. I start doing that. I start doing that. I better talk fast before I forget. I remember the day my dad invited me to play with him and his older dude friends. I was about 15, going on 16, I think, around that. I just copped a purple pair of mid-cut, high top Uptowns. That's the one with the strap. If you know, you know. Listen, the dudes, my dad didn't pick me. I knew he wouldn't, which is fine. The dudes who picked me up, they was trying to gas me on the low. And listen, I'm trying to act like I didn't because my dad was on the other team, but I know I said something slick. That was just in my nature. You know what I'm saying? So the game gets going. Check the ball. Ugh. Some dude steps out on me. In my mind, I'm like, I'm about to hop step him because of Grant Hill. Like, I used to copy Grant Hill, Latrell Sprewell, and Stacey Augmon. That's another story for another time. I hop step, he bites. I'm like, skirt. I go to the lane. My dad puts his foot in my running lane. My ankle turns so sideways, I think I kicked myself in the ear. I almost cried. I was so close. But there was so much testosterone on the Serengeti plains, because that's what it feels like. The young gazelle, shut up. The young lion, like the teenage lion, like I ain't got the full mane, I got the brushback mane. So I'm wounded, so I gotta lip off, right? But the whole time I'm like, I want my mom. And I did, because I went home and I told her, because I lived with her at the time. My parents were separated. I lived with my mom because they had cable and she bought good cereal. You think I want to live with you, Furious Styles? Are you kidding me? With your $3 steaks? Yo, I hated staying with my dad. But anyway, say that to say, you can't unmake room for people just because you currently feel a way about the current state of affairs in our society. It doesn't make sense. Although hip-hop and society are correlative sometimes, right? But in the age of excess and doing what I want, I'd say hip-hop is a reflection of what's going on in reality. Because realistically, we all know it's a facade now. The curtain has been pulled back on Hollywood, on the music industry, on all of that. The curtain's been pulled back. There are no more secrets. Like, it's been slowly chipping away. More and more truth tellers, right? But the truth tellers, they was getting whooped on. Cat Williams, Dave Chappelle, they took they licking, and I'm not going to say it. They took they licking, but then when they got back, they had information to dispense. But they knew they couldn't put the information on the surface, so they hid it in the comedy. They made us look at ourselves. They made society look at how ridiculous we are. So there's no more secrets. Excuse me. Hold on. I don't want... Hold on. But to unmake my point, whenever people, because I was talking about when one people run a thing, it never goes well, right? Unless it's straight capitalism, because you can have 100% of the 1% be one race and it go absolutely fine. So, I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's laughable at this point if you don't know that. Like, if you are a fully functioning adult with some years in college, you don't have to have your degree. We're not snobs around here. I'm about to shoot for my master's for real, because this industry is rife with money if you have credentials. The one I'm in, not this. But in saying that, like, hold on. I'll be forgetting. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. But if you don't know by now that capitalism runs everything and everything you see is based on money to be made, but yet you treat everything as if there's a game being played fairly, you're bugging. Sports, music, entertainment, all ran by money. What you see is dictated by somebody else. Don't believe me? Go on Netflix and think you're going to find your favorite show. The last few things you watch, sure. But the things that are selected to you, they say it's for you, but they'll sneak in the stuff they want you to see. I'm being real. You're not, we're at a point where we're in control of certain things in our lives as it pertains to personal accountability and the things attached to that. Outside of that, our lives are dictated by other people who don't care about our personal interests. But also, there's humanity out there. So seek it. Because it's not all gloom and doom. It's where you find your passions and pleasures. I don't know. I don't mean that every other way, but I'm sure it'll be, whatever. But to kind of wrap this part up, colorism is so old that it was old when I was young. Colorism is so old that it was old when my mom was young and her mom was young. Colorism is as old as slavery. Now, here's where it gets deep, because rap and slavery are also correlative right now because of these 360 deals these young kids are signing. But I digress. You are not and ginger. That's stupid. Sorry. Sorry, guys. That was unexpected. Back to it and move forward. Colorism is as old as slavery. Slavery is meant to control people. Music right now appears to be controlling the masses. I'm not controlled by music more than I vibe and move according to the music I listen to. But at any moment, I can change channels and feel how I want to feel in that moment. A lot of people don't have that. These kids, they give themselves one message because it feeds them because of the stage in life that they're in. When you arrive at a place where all you seek is peace, understanding, growth, love, when you seek the things that truly feed you, when you arrive at a space where that's your life, it's very difficult to control somebody who's arrived at that space in their life. It is very difficult to control someone who's arrived at a space in their life where all they're going to seek are things that feed them, because the things that don't, they will truly ignore. It won't even matter to them. So in saying that, colorism is as old as slavery. And if we want to keep adding colorism to hip hop, we're admitting that we're still slave-minded because we allow ourselves to be in bondage to things that can't give us things back. We are in bondage to things. We are in bondage to things. If you look at the, and this isn't me being preachy hip hop nigga, because I'll be honest with you. When I get to recording here, maybe in the fall, depends on what I have time for, it's all slick talk and storytelling. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not coming to y'all from, there's no curse words in my music, I'm gonna be honest with you. But I'm not coming to you from an angle of somebody who doesn't do music. I understand what music is meant to do. But what's not understood is the music that's out now is also meant to do something, and it's doing it. But it doesn't have to, because there's options. Do you realize, and I don't know if you guys knew this, when you go into any streaming app, right? There's a search box, and whoever's in your mind that you want to listen to, you can put their name in there. That's crazy, right? And I'm glad my man KJ, no. I'm glad my brother KJ is watching. I'm proud of him. Shout out to him. Another story for another time. Coming up through the ranks, understanding respect of self and respect for others. That's ingrained in everyone that I came up with. So that respect is given, respect is earned, all of that. And how you talk to people. And when you take everything I just said regarding slavery and hip hop being controlled, when you're robbing a space and peace and all those things, you can't help but see that we as a humankind, we're in a desperate condition because we think we think we have less control than we actually have. That's why I made the excuse me. That's why I made the search box point. If you can use your thumbs to send an angry text or unsolicited, you know what, whatever. You can use your thumbs to search what you desire. Musically, entertainment-wise. According to iTunes, I listened to a lot of Drake, Metro Boomin, and Bad Bunny last year. I think this year is going to be Griselda because I didn't like the algorithm showing me how I was approaching music this year. I didn't like that. It made me feel the way. I feel like I'm more hip hop than the music I was listening to. Like, that's another thing too. I think because I literally grew up with hip hop, I appreciate its nuances and all of its, well, not the Beastie Boys, dog. The Beastie Boys, listen to me. I'm posting this. You know what? Check this out. That looked like I had like tobacco. The Beastie Boys are not hip hop. I want to explain why. Remember what I said earlier? I said hip hop at its inception was available to and siphoned through Black, brown, and white people in the urban areas. They listen to the same radio stations we listen to. We listen to Billy Joel too, which I wish Black people would stop fronting. We loved Madonna when we shut up. Yes, we liked Whitney, but we loved Madonna too. I don't mean we like me. I mean we like my parents and them. They was listening to Madonna too. They be fronting. Mad white music was played at the crib. Anyways, Beastie Boys are urban. You like the sound. You took a noise and mixed it with some words, and then you did that. You took rock and that listen, LL Cool J for his time was mad lyrically gifted. So I don't want to hear that all rap had to sound like Mad Hat Cat Sat. It didn't. I know what the Beastie Boys were for, just like I know what Run DMC was for. I know what New Kids on the Block was for, just like I know what New Edition was for. You can't fool us, people who grew up with the music. We see what's going on. So that's why a lot of people, they call us conspiracy theorists. No, hip hop is our sibling. We watched it grow up. We know what it is and what it isn't. We know what it should and what it shouldn't be. We do get to determine what hip hop is. Notice I keep saying hip hop and not rap, because rap is what they doing. Hip hop is what we do. Hip hop is a culture. Rap is a music. If you ask your average 30-year-old, I'll go 30, what the elements of hip hop are, bow. It gave us our identity. I'm glad you said that, because it's a little known story for real. But back to this clip. End the clip. Beastie Boys not hip hop, and that's why. That's what I'm talking about. When I was 12, my parents got separated. 12 years old is a very integral time for a young man. It's where he begins to find himself in the world. He starts, and when you're from New York, 12 years old, you was already running the streets for 2 years. Seriously, you was already taking the bus and the train by 12 years old. That's who you vet on public transportation. Anyway, parents got separated, dad out the crib. He was close by, but that's another story for another time. I felt alone, weak, vulnerable, scared, unequipped, because my Superman was not, I didn't have Papa Bear no more. And that's real. If you are a young black man and you had the gift of growing up with your father in your life, I guarantee you a solid man if he's a solid man. If you a sucker and your dad is solid, that's your fault. That means you hung around suckers and they let you. I'll be real with you. I'm not tough. I'm not tough. I'm just saying what's real. Because you ain't got toughness is being a sucker ain't about being soft. It's about being snaky and underhanded and weak-minded and fragile and insecure, needlessly. Saying that to say, I was all those things when I was 12. I gravitated towards the dudes on the block. Fortunately, the dudes on the block had the respect of my pops, and my pops respected them. You know what I'm saying? There was a mutual respect between them. I would sit amongst them, but I wasn't allowed to talk. I would say not allowed. I didn't have a space to speak because they wasn't talking about nothing I could relate to, so I did a lot of listening. I remember one time I spoke up, got kicked off the porch. I was sad. 2 days I had to play with people my age. That's corny. That's poverty right there. So in the midst of that, I was like making my own radio shows and all this other stuff. Like I was hella creative when I was young. Then the Fushnikins, shout out to them, used to come around the block. And my big brother AD, he wasn't really my brother, but he kind of put me under the wing. He used to be around rappers and stuff. I met Queen Latifah, Fushnikins, Special Ed, all them dudes, Chubb Rock, because I was around AD. So one day, Fushnikins is just standing on the block waiting for AD to come out the building. So I'm standing next to them. I said, yo, I don't know what made me ask this. I said, yo, how do you rap? He said, and this was Mock, the light-skinned one. No, Pac. I think, either way, they was both there. Chip was somewhere else. They said, only rap what you know about. I always kept that in my head. At the time, I was holding the duplex cookies, the 2 rows. The one side was the dark, the other side was the light, and it had the white cream in the middle. If you know, you know. Had that, and I'm eating those with no juice. I think I spent all my money on the cookies. I could have bought the half pack and then the juice, but instead I bought the whole pack and I had no more money. And I wound up eating like maybe 6 of them. I think I dropped them by accident being a clumsy 12-year-old because I had big feet, long arms, a long neck, but my torso was short. I was 5'6". It was weird, bro. It was a scary time. I didn't realize how little I was till I looked at a picture of myself when I was 14 and I was like 4 inches shorter than my dad. I'm taller than my dad now. He's shrinking. He's an older dude. Shout out to him though. Big Wayne. Still. I don't care. My pop's always gonna be Big Wayne. I've been Lil Wayne for a minute, like since ever. But anyways, so from there, I only rap what I knew about. But I'm shaping my personality based on the things I'm rapping about. I was witty. At school, I was picked on. I ain't had no older siblings. Nobody was riding for me. I was the only child for real. My brother was young. He couldn't fight. He was 3. What was he going to do? You know what I'm saying? Maybe 4. Whatever. It's all the same. I didn't have any protection for real. My block wasn't one of those blocks where like kids would play together. But if I needed kids to fight with me, it was dicey. The other kids on the block fought together, which was strange. They understood the value of volume. But in saying that, I'm rapping and I'm building my personality. So as rap is developing, I'm developing with rap because I'm hearing new styles. I even did the Iggity Biggity for a minute. I know I bit the Das Effects flow. Everybody did. I definitely did the Iggity Biggity. I did I did the my freshman year of high school. I had the far side pitch. I'm not doing it now because I'm never gonna play myself. But I had the far side dude voice in my younger days. I'm not doing it. You know the song. She keeps on passing me by. I listen to it. I did that. And then Busta came, and then listen, for a time, you couldn't tell me there was a better rapper than Busta Rhymes. Then Hove came, and I was like, who? I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons? I don't play that no more. But side note, I never played Dungeons and Dragons, although I would be open to the idea of. It seems like a pretty interesting game. Anyway, so we can take that position with hip hop because we grew up with it. A lot of us did shape our identities from hip hop into our own selves. We picked, and like I was always eclectic. For a time, I had blonde hair. I don't know if I presented that with the respect that it deserves. Every Friday, I'd get the Caesar #1 double line. Super, haircuts back. This mop top stuff these kids is doing, they're wilding. Our haircuts were also a part of hip hop, which is also a part of our identities. I would get the #1 Caesar with the double line. Ugh. I remember one time I freaked it with like the star in the back. Woo, he charged me $5 extra. I didn't do that again. $5 extra when you 16, especially when you working at where was I working at the time? Canal Jean and Action Warehouse. Both of them was on Broadway. I worked in Soho. That was dope. That was a dope experience. Saw so many people. Literally a melting pot. New York is already a melting pot, but by the time I got back to my neighborhood, that melting pot was more like a brownie tray with some almonds, walnuts, whatever you put in brownies, you can, whatever. But yeah, so you're growing and developing with hip hop. So we take it personal when people mistreat it and like cross blend it with something that isn't it. Like, I'm gonna be real. I don't understand how y'all didn't understand how we would take issue with Lil Nas X. I don't see how y'all didn't understand how we would take issue with that. Lil Nas X, Nas and DMX, Lil Wayne, Nas and DMX. Stop playing with us. Industry plant. Name me 3 Lil Nas X songs. You don't know them because he was only here to, you know what, whatever. I'm not going to do that with y'all. I'm truly not. Because I don't want to veer off into that path. But I don't see how you didn't know how we would take that personal. We are hip hop. Lil Nas and X. We don't play with us, man. Like, leave us alone. We like nothing you did was any of those adages. And even to say that, the fact that we're in a society where it exhausts us to hold that in is absurd. It's absurd. We have to hold that in so we don't ruffle your pink, red, blue, green, and yellow feathers. That's a parrot, by the way, just in case you thought I was being, look at my shirt too, even though that's not at all what I meant. But saying that to say, I just don't understand how tone deaf you are and how muted you want us to be. You can't be deaf and have us be quiet. Can you imagine that? I'm deaf. You mute. You just moving your face. And I'm like, what? I'm trying to read lips, but you're not saying nothing. It's confusing. That's what's happening right now. It's all miscommunication. The only difference is you're miscommunicating on purpose. Hip hop has been communicating same but differently since its inception. It's telling stories. It's painting pictures. It's proclaiming itself. It's championing a movement. It's rescuing people. It's giving information. Hip hop is doing so many things all at once. Rap does one thing, rap. All rap does is rhyme words. Eminem is the best rhymer of words of all time. However, that's all I'll say about Eminem. Not giving this. No, I did that already. The internet didn't like me for that one. Thanks for the views, though. I'll take them. Because it validates me. It lets me know that the things I'm saying are making sense. That's another thing that disturbs people that I find myself around sometimes. Quick story, then I'll tell another one, because that's all this really is. Yo. The crazy thing is I'm like this all the time. Like I don't do this for the camera. And I think that's what throws people off too. Like, I present so honestly. I don't care. Like, I don't have time to pretend to be what I'm not. So I tell you what I am, because none of the things that I am that I'm presenting to you are abrasive. I would never intentionally offend unless I was intentionally offended. And sometimes I might not even, just to rub it in your face that I'm not going to play your game. But I digress. A lot of times people find me they find me a little weird. I've been called weird before. I've been weird though. I was the kid with the blonde hair, with the double line Caesar, with the blue tinted glasses and the Tommy Hilfiger sweater, and the Jinko jeans and the Dennis Rodman kicks. I have a picture of that exact outfit. And not here. I don't know where that's at. Took it in. Where was that? I was always around Soho, Midtown, Hell's Kitchen. I enjoyed the parts of Manhattan that I heard about in movies. We would go to Times Square, but every time we did, some nonsense happened. And one time, I hope Mr. Phillips is still watching because he's in this story. We are, and by we, I mean the squad, me, Jerry, KJ, JJ, JB, Sabina, Nia, Carl, Lionel. So I'm already at 9. Be clear, this story just goes somewhere. We go into the movies. We have a good time. Come out. We run into a rap battle. At this rap battle, this kid who was from the Bronx, because he said he was from the Bronx, he was in a black Champion hoodie. It was really kind of dusty. But his raps, he was like, Jewels and baguettes and the Lex and all that, right? Because that was the time. But I would say that if you're going to rap something, you got to match the aesthetic. That's the other thing. All my raps match my aesthetic. Now, this dude, who I later come to find out was Brett, because I reckon I'm a face guy. Pause. I remember faces well. What? I remember faces well. So I seen him, and then when I seen him later, I was like, yo, that's the... Now, he rose up, and I remember him too because he had that same voice when he was on the I Got Love remix. His name is Brett, B-R-E-T-T, all capital letters. I think there were dots in between. Don't know what it's spelled for. It was probably an acronym. I didn't find out. So he walks up to the kid and goes, this, that, and there's something. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think that's actually what it was. I don't think he wanted to rhyme at all. I think he just wanted to get to the point that I'm about to talk about right now. He open hand smacks this kid in the face in front of mad dudes. Remember earlier when I talked about the wounded young lion on the Serengeti and how he toughly walked off because I was telling the story about when my dad tried to kill me through my ankle? He didn't do that well. Now, mind you, I'm going to be real. I'm only saying this because I was with 10 people. I don't know how many people he was with. So he might have had to eat that because the way he looked, I don't think he was rolling deep. I think he was really trying to catch one because in those days, you could catch one like that. You could catch a deal or a look freestyling in the street. You could really do that. Like, I've been in several rap battles on trains. Never caught one for that. Definitely caught one for modeling, which is bugged out. Like, another story for another time. Also part of my hip hop story. So I think he was dope, but he just ate it. Like, when he put his hand up, I was like, oh yeah. Not out loud because I'm not going to gas it. I've never been a guy to gas a fight because I didn't like when people did that to me. They did it to me in middle school when I used to get beat up every day because I was little. Now that I know that. But anyway. So he put his hand up. When he put his hand up, I thought it was going to go down. Like, I thought he was about to bark back. He covered the part of his face that got slapped. Brett left. He walked away. It was such an awkward stillness because we're all looking at him. After getting slapped, holding it like a surprised girlfriend, and he said and did nothing. We walked away because that was it. We all laughed out loud because you just got slapped, so we know you can't beat us up. Oh man, such obnoxious teenagers. But we make our way to McDonald's, which is where Terrence Phillips comes into this story. We order hella food because we just, I don't know how. Yes, I do. We ordered hella food. We chilling. I start with we ordered hella food and we chilling on purpose. Terrence Phillips, He probably just got off. yeah, LOL, hell, nigga. Anyway, Terrence Phillips. I don't know if he was just tipsy or obnoxious that day. He chooses to lay on the McDonald's seat, which is meant for sitting. Although, because it's bench-like, I guess you could presume you could lay on it. Chooses to lay on it. So he's here. Good. I can continue to tell stories all about Brooklyn stuff because he was there too. I'm glad you're here. The security guy comes. I don't think he saw us. I think somebody told, because we was loud. We weren't quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm loud, Jerry loud. No, Jerry quiet, but loud. It's weird. It was a weird combination of both. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the point. And then during the rap, I'm a watch. It's going to go seamless. During the rap battle, my brother and his squad of little dudes, because he was rolling deep at the time, they was like 10, 11 deep. So now we're 20 deep in McDonald's for the time being. Security dude comes. Sir, could you? KJ started to give him lip. Sabina said, KJ, sit up. He sat up. I sat up because I think I was slouching. I didn't even like the tone. KJ reluctantly sits up because he still gotta, even though we all just got barked at technically. Security dude walks away. KJ casually, he's sitting, but you could tell. Gotta put. I ain't about to play right now, so I think I just needed to set it up for when I'm done. KJ sitting on the bench. He slumps into a lay down over a course of 40 seconds, which was so arduous and comedically pleasing to me because I've always had this laugh. Y'all ain't heard it because I can't do it on here. It'll mess with the headphones. For real. The security dude comes back. I feel like the only reason he was this patient is because we were McDonald's at that time. Okay, let me explain something. We weren't tough guys. We could defend ourselves. We never started fights. Things always came to us. I promise you, out of all of us, there was a short wick amongst us. I love you. I swear. You know I do. I borrowed a wife beater from you. You know that. Listen, I borrowed clothes from you. I love you. Oftentimes when we would get into stuff, it was because of a couple of us. I tried to be diplomatic. Eric was a short fuse. KJ was a short fuse. Jerry, it depended. Anyway, security dude comes back. I feel like the only reason he's being this patient is because all the people who might have been upstairs when we went upstairs to McDonald's all vacated because we was being too loud and 20 deep. And maybe there might have been 6 people. So I'm not saying we cleared out a whole room because, again, that's not the message I'm trying to portray. So they leave. We up there. We upstairs McDonald's. It's us. We ordered hella food. KJ sits up again. KJ lays down again. Security comes back. KJ has had enough because first of all, I think he was mad because he got yelled at. And I also think he was mad because there were some girls there that came upstairs because they wanted to know what the noise was. And I think KJ might have been showing off. I love you. But we all had the tendency to do that. We was young. We was young lions. We was definitely primed for showing off for pretty faces. Okay, cool. We get kicked out, but almost fight security and cops. Again, I'm going to remake this picture because it was only 2 or 3 cops and 2 or 3 security. It was 20 of us. But guess what? If we hit cops, we're going to jail. Nobody's, you know what I'm saying? Only the Ninja Turtles get away with hitting cops and getting away free. But that was us growing up. You weren't in danger. Yo, KJ, I swear, you just made my ab. You ever get an ab cramp? I know you did because you got abs. Yo, you were in danger, bro. I love you. I swear. But I didn't like, okay, cool. Listen, for content purposes only, I gotta make it funny, but you already know. Listen, fam, that's the thing. You knew. You know, we can't all go because what's the rule? If one don't come back, nobody come back. The only time that we allowed you to separate from us is because you literally chose it. I think it was a party. I wasn't there because you came back after. This is another story. I think we went to a party, got to a fight, lost a hat, lost 2 hats in a summer. Well, hats was $20, bro. That's $20 a piece. Yo, that's like that's a favorite story amongst us. Like I remember we was talking one time. We was all young. We was in the back room just chilling, and KJ came home, and his t-shirt was ripped at the top, no hat. I think he had they was either Jordan 4s because he stayed with a kick. But I know one of them was scuffed real bad. The other one was like fresh. I don't know how. But he had gotten into a little fisticuffs with a dude. I'm looking at him. Ain't never really happened to him, but a lost hat, ripped shirt, scuffed kick. So I'm assuming that was the foot he had on the ground as he was stomping him with the other one, whatever. However it went. But he came home with no hat, which he got from JJ. JJ was like, it's $20, son. So he was sitting there mad, right? My cousin Tashik comes in the room. I hadn't seen my cousin Tashik in like 7, 8 years. It was been a minute. I had a nickname with them. They called me Wayne Poo Poo. I'll smack you. Not you, KJ. Because yeah, don't play with me. This story is for this purpose. Don't run with that. But in saying that, JJ is still in the trance of not having his hat and it costing $20. Like I said, when you were 16, wow. Yes, good. More stories, but no, ain't no more stories for real. We're not over here playing. But my cousin Tashi comes in. She's like, Wayne Poo Poo. JJ still trancing us. He goes, Wayne Poo Poo. Put his head back down and continue to ruminate over the loss of $40 for real, because you had lost the hat 2 weeks prior to that in a similar situation. I'll say this. I'm not trying to paint a picture of you that doesn't exist, but what I will say, I'm going to get sentimental slightly publicly because I want you to know this, because I don't care about people knowing how I feel about my family publicly. I love you, bro. Like, what you did when you did it always felt like it was on time and for a reason. Even if in the moment it didn't feel like it, you always led heart first. It was always family first. Those years in between when you didn't want interaction, I'm gonna be honest with you, that hurt me a little bit, because how not? You know what I'm saying? Like, we was all growing. But I love the man that you are now. I like and enjoy and love the space you're in and the relationship you're in, because I see that it's healthy for you, because your grind and hustle is never lacked. But when you have a woman who supports your grind and hustle, much like I do, it manifests into what we're seeing our lives become right now. So shout out to you. Shout out to Letitia. That's right. Yep. Yeah, there's the I. Okay, she bought a vowel. Cool. So the other purpose, I mean, if you listen, I don't know if you came in for stories. Cool. I'm about to change modes though. With all this hip hop talk, the one conversation I think people are trying not to have about a versus battle is Rockefeller versus Rough Rider. I went back and made a playlist that I felt would be adequate for a versus. I have, here are the songs, right? These are the songs I have. These are the highlight songs. I'm only giving you the highlight songs that I have, right? But my whole versus playlist for this is going to be, I'm going to put the link in the comments once I post this. Like, I'm going to post it to Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm going to put the link in the, well, not Instagram, because that link, they don't do that. So the YouTube link for sure, because honestly, I get most of my views from there anyway. TikTok also. But the conversation is not had enough, because we talk about all these verses with single people, like Lil Wayne versus such and such. No. Mid-90s was run by Rockefeller and Ruff Ryder. Murder Inc. is both squads adjacent. Ruff Ryder and Rockefeller and Murder Inc. Murder Inc. was like the little switch side of cousin. He would dip and dab. He never took a side, but he would hang out. It was almost like he was an informant. I ain't like the Murder Inc. dynamic in the Ruff Ryder Rockefeller. I ain't like that. It wasn't a triangle. It was just a weird, I ain't like it. It was a weird bar graph or something. Anyway, we don't discuss that enough because there was an open conflict between the heads of both factions. Jay-Z and DMX did not, excuse me, that was not aesthetically pleasing, but I got to get to a point where I like, whatever, gravity. In saying that, Jay-Z and DMX were not friends. They weren't even associates for real. They was all right for a little bit. Y'all know the story. If y'all don't, they battled in the Bronx. They didn't film it. You know, each side said this guy was close, blah, blah, blah. If I'm being real, if you think about what a battle is and what a battle is gauged upon, Jay-Z wouldn't have had enough oomph to go into a pool room in the Bronx and out-aggress X in an already aggressive environment. You're in a pool hall. Sir, you are Jay-Z. I hear your voice. You not pool hall. You something else. You might, I think, and this is not a slight, I'm talking about his style. He's street corner, lunchroom, that audience, right? But when you take, okay, but when you take his voice style, put it in a pool hall, put it in the Bronx, which is basically Yonkers' front yard. You from Brooklyn, dog. You got to go through a whole nother demographic to even get to the Bronx, and that middle demographic don't mess with you neither. Dame wasn't getting you that much noise unless Dame packed the pool house first full of Harlem and Brooklyn dudes. I mean, that's the only thing strategically I could see. But what a battle's metric, what it's based on in that environment is prime for a guy like X to come out with a clear W. But because of the lore and the mystique and the mythos, of course you got to say it was close. Just like you got to say Big L's battle with Jay-Z was close on 125th. But you're not going to convince me of that either. Because Big L, you shut up. Big L was from 139, but you battled on 125th, which isn't closer to Brooklyn than it is to 139. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't, like, I get you have to shape the lore. I get it. Half of most people's rap story is lore. It's stuff that people close by can prove, but will sometimes accentuate because it's you. Like, for a time, my man Kev said I was in his top 5 favorite rappers. I don't know if I'm that anymore. But at the time, I probably was because I was ill. I still am pretty ill. I don't think I have the vocal projection anymore because your voice box changes as you get older. But for a time, my man Kev said, yo, you my top 5. Like, he was part of my management team. So you kind of got to say stuff like that to keep me gassed and keep me feeling superior. And it did. Every situation I went into, like, I would be featured on people's stuff. Like, I have a whole old iPod, the brick joint, full of my old stuff on features that I did with, like, guys from Detroit. And I'm not. Shout out to Midwest Miles. Me and him did a song together. He washed me. And he made an ill beat, too, that he never got credit for. Midwest Miles made a beat for the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack that he never got credit for. I was there when he made it. Me, my brother, and JB was in the studio when Miles made the beat for Tony Yayo. Matter of fact, why am I playing with y'all? Midwest Miles made this beat. Hold on. No. My man gonna get his flowers. I'm tired of this. He don't care, but I care. He does not care. I promise you, he don't care. That man is thriving, but he needs to get his credit. He made this beat. Shout out to Midwest Miles. My life, my life, my life, my life. Yeah. 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 He made that beat. Didn't get credit for it because I saw the production credit and it didn't say his name. Midwest Miles did the beat for Fake Love on Get Rich or Die Trying. Didn't get credit for it. He has 3 or more witnesses. And where 2 or 3 witnesses are together, truth is established. Don't know what book that's in. Because my legs are long and I'm stupid clumsy, sometimes I just hit the tripod with my knee. That's entertaining stuff right there. That content is just priceless. But we not talking about the fact that Jay-Z, DMX, not friends. The Locks, State Property, not friends. And that beef was real. That beef could have ended in blood. For real. They both say it. We knew it in the streets ourselves. All the while, Terror Squad is uptown wreaking all kinds of havoc. Hip hop during that midpoint, I say 94 to 2004, 5, right? Yeah. Factions, real street factions that you could see. You would see Rough Riders places. You would see Terror Squad places. You would see no Rockefeller dudes in the street. I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to play games, but there's a part of this mythos that nobody understands. You very rarely, and this is to his credit, you very rarely saw Jay-Z. I saw Jay-Z one time. He was driving the Platinum Range during the Volume 3 press run. He was coming out of Def Jam offices, which is next to a 50 Cent movie theater. And drove right by. And I'm talking about in all my years in being in Brooklyn, I've seen Fabulous. I've seen M.O.P. I've seen Smooth the Hustler. I've seen Rock, Rupp, the Rang Wonder, Boot Camp Click, all them dudes. Did I see C's once? No. But you know what I'm saying? Special Ed. I'm just saying, like, I just names upon names that you see them. I never seen them. So I think when you take that part of Rockefeller's aesthetic, there was a point where Jay-Z understood he needed to get street-like dudes in his midst because he didn't really have them, because factions were running the streets. State Property. Why didn't he get some dudes from Brooklyn? I don't know. I could tell you, but I would sound like a hater. Here's the crazy thing. I love Hov. I truly do. Musically. I don't have an actual affinity for him. But I love Hov. But to his credit, and I'm going to keep saying that because I don't want you to believe that I'm ever going to say somebody not being in the street that's whack. To his credit, he never really boasted of his staying in the street, but I'm not saying that he didn't have people who would put in work for him and not name mention and none of that. I'm pretty sure he had his. I'm pretty sure. However, there's something about having a presence physically. And I'm going to correlate it to the fact that the job that I have right now, I'm a program director over 5 group homes. I never understood how important it was, because I always wanted, when I was coming up through the ranks in the industry, because I started out as like DSP straight off the streets, like never did it before, rose up, learned some things, experience, blah, 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 45. Now I have a wealth of knowledge about a bunch of things, but not a specific discipline in one. And that is because that's kind of like the way I've devised my life. But either way, there's a reason behind it. Another story for another time. I always wanted a leader who was present. I never got it. I had to learn a lot of things on my own. The leaders that I did have who were present, they're still my friends today because they taught me valuable lessons. They shaped and molded how I approach my work, how my thought process about all of that. Like they helped guide it. I want to be that, so I'm hella present. As a result, I know things that people don't think I know, because when I mention them to the staff, they go, "Oh, you saw that, da, da, da." And when they know that you're there, yet you're trying to teach them, it's different. They'll allow you almost to see their mistakes, even if they don't know they're making them, because you'll catch it and you'll be like, "Yo, it happened today." But to correlate it to what I was talking about, unfortunately, to his credit, Jay-Z's lack of presence made it look like he wasn't who he was saying he was. Now, this is where hip-hop fans need to not listen emotionally, right? Because when you storytell, because we all do, you don't storytell present, because that's negligent. You know what I mean? You engage in hyperbole, you tell some stories, you make some analogies, you say some things, blah, blah, blah. But you elude, right? You do a lot of alluding in hip-hop. Hip-hop is a lot of alluding for the most part. We be real, because if it was actual literal, people would be in jail. Some are, because they weren't alluding, they were shooting. I didn't do that on purpose. It happened that way, and I apologize, because that was whack. But look, when you're present in the street and you're present with people who are looking to you for the thing you're talking about, it has to match. And for him, it didn't. For Ruff Ryder, it did, because they was out there, literally. When I tell you that there are so many stories in hip hop of people saying DMX was in some public place and he did this, very few of them are negative. Also, I want to put that out. Very few of them are negative. People talking about DMX being like the greatest humanitarian they ever met. I can believe it. I can believe it, because people who come from nothing and get something, all they want to do is give. People who come from nothing and really know that they did, not try to forget it, not try to mask it, not try to hide it. It'll come up in their actions. People who come from nothing, when they get it, all they want to do is give. They might buy a few trinkets. They might buy some things, because of course, right? But they at some point, they just want to spoil and love the people around them. That was most of DMX's stories that I heard. 90% of the stories by DMX that I've heard in the industry via YouTube or whatever, because I don't want to act like I'm in the industry rubbing elbows, because I'm not. I get it just like y'all get it. DMX has more positive stories than negative ones. But unfortunately, the news media can't sell ticks and clicks off of positivity. That only works when you're a white liberal from Minnesota or something like that. To be honest with you, I'm not even gonna laugh when I say that, because it's unfortunate that that's the inequity that we live in. With that said, this Rockefeller Ruff Ryder versus would be so ill. Like, I'm really gonna put the link for the actual playlist in the comments. Listen, imagine a versus where it starts with Ruff Ryder's anthem versus 1-900 Hustler. Can you imagine the eruption? Do you remember how Ruff Ryder's anthem begins? It's so like it involves you. You can't shake it. And then once 1-900, it's over. Eruption. Imagine that, but who would win in that round? Who would win in that round? Who would win in 1-900 Hustler versus Rough Riders Anthem? I'm curious to know. Imagine this, because I already spoke about Jay-Z and DMX, their head-to-head interaction. Imagine Get At Me, Imagine Get At Me Dog versus Where I'm From. What? Listen, if you hip hop, you know this. When the intro of Get At Me Dog, you know what it is immediately, and it just sends immediately. You hear it. Now, Where I'm From, that beat, if you are a lunchroom all-star, if you a lunchroom goat, that beat, what? You went stupid. Man, listen, hold on. No, because we're not. I seem so biased doing this. No. But who would win in that? Because Get At Me Dog, what Get At Me Dog did for New York City, it made certain clubs unsafe. I wasn't with it. Let me be real with you. Call me what you want. I made it home safe from everywhere I went. I knew I wasn't going to the tunnel again. Listen, first of all, I'm the oldest of all my cousins. In that situation, that's not good. And we wasn't even gun toting then. Gun toting wasn't even a thing like that back then, because you really had to know how to fight. But Get At Me Dog made clubs unsafe. So you hear that? It just wasn't. No, it's crazy. But also now, imagine We Gonna Make It versus Welcome to New York City. Again, I keep focusing on the songs with the big intros. You have to focus on the song with the big intros, because that's how you get the versus crowd involved in it. Like, you know how, listen. This is how we're going to do this. Listen. The crowd goes nuts. They're now, not only do they say that together, they're rapping the whole thing together. It's over. But then you got this.
Turn the motherfucking music up. Just plays, man. Oh, nigga. Yeah.
Shut up. You know what it does. That is going to go crazy. That's going to go crazy. But who would win in that round? Rough Rider versus Rockefeller versus would go crazy on the internet. I kind of have an idea how it would go. The link for the playlist is in the comments. Get busy.